Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Maybe a little bit more sound. Jaya Rama Dava Kanjaviyade Jaya Rama Dava Kanjaviyade Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhara Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhara Yashoda Nandana Bhajatana Randana Yashoda Nandana Bhajatana Randana Yamuna Tira Vanachare Yamuna Tira Vanachare Jaya Rama Dava Kanjaviyade Jaya Rama Dava Kanjaviyade Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhara Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhara Yashoda Nandana Bhajatana Randana Yashoda Nandana Bhajatana Randana Yamuna Tira Vanachare Yamuna Tira Vanachare Jaya Rama Kandavihare Hare Krišna, Hare Krišna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nittai Gauriva, Hariva, Hariva, Nittai Gauriva. Nittai Gaura Premanande, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanande. Om Agyantamandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Dena Tasmai Shri Guve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manupistam Stabadam Yena Bhuttale Swayam Rupakara Mayam Nanati Swabanatikam Namam Vishnubhara Kashyapasa Bhuttale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitya Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Govani Pachayane Nivishesha Shanyavari Pasatari Satarine Vanchakapa Dvibhasha Kripa Sanubhyevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktamanna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome everybody to our second and last session on deepening our relationship with the Holy Name. So for those, do we have anybody here who was not here yesterday? Up there. Okay. In the camera. But here, everybody was here yesterday, was it? Yes. Okay, good. Yes, because yesterday the session was kind of setting, or is kind of setting the foundation for today's session. And just to refresh our memory, we were basically introducing the need for making ongoingly endeavors to get on deeper levels of chanting. Actually also Krishna says, Satatam Kirdayantumam Yatantas Shadritavrata, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination. So this endeavoring with great determination, this is a really important principle in devotional development, actually. No matter what we do, we should be endeavoring ongoingly, not only as a young bhakta or bhaktin, but ongoingly, we should be endeavoring with great determination. And that also, of course, relates to our chanting. There has to be some endeavor, yes, with great determination. And we were establishing very briefly the inattentiveness on the level of the body and the mind, mentioning so many different versions of inattentiveness, just to become more conscious of our bad chanting habits. Because unless we come to this conclusion that, yes, I have to do something about my chanting habits, they are pretty poor, you know, we will not be really impelled to actually endeavor with great determination. And also, even if our chanting habits may be reasonably good, still Krishna consciousness is ever increasing. It's unlimited. There are always higher levels to move on to. So the worst thing in Krishna consciousness is to think that, yes, I've got it all down, I know it all, I'm doing well, you know. So the humility of a Vaishnava always makes us feel like, actually, I haven't even started yet to really sincerely, you know, apply myself to this process. I'm just playing around and passing the time here. So when, oh when, will the day come when I finally become serious? Yes. Yes. Yeah, so, and we also at the end, we did briefly introduce the attentiveness or inattentiveness on the level of the heart. We were mentioning Prabhupada's nice analogy that we are meant to chant the holy name, helplessly crying out like the child cries for his mother. And we were saying if we actually do this, that would bring an end to the wandering mind, right? Because the child doesn't have that problem of thinking of so many other things, you know. So the main and foremost problem is actually that we don't cry out in helplessness. And to begin with, I do want to share just a few paragraphs of one of Prabhupada's purports, where he makes nice points. This is 1st Canto, 8th chapter, verse 26. This is the chapter of Queen Kunti praying for calamities to come again and again. So there Prabhupada makes this comment. He says, actually, the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency, but there is a quality to such utterance also. It depends on the quality of feeling. A helpless man, or woman, of course, here man is just human, a helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. Interesting, you know. In great material satisfaction, if we are, you know, situated in great material satisfaction, obviously it's difficult to cry out in helplessness, right? It just shows how dangerous material satisfaction is. You know, because let us be honest, aren't we all striving for great material satisfaction? I think we do, you know. And if we are simply in great material satisfaction, very easily we become complacent, you know, and everything is going so nicely according to our plans. Like last year I spent 4 months in Australia and New Zealand. So in Australia people say, they have the saying every second, third sentence, they say, no worries mate, no worries mate, no worries mate. Right? You understand? No worries, mate. Mate means my friend. So, no worries. Everything is no worries from my friend. No worries mate, no worries mate. So, with that no worries mate attitude, how can one feel helpless? Right? So that's actually the problem. So then Prabhupada continues, a materially puffed up person may utter the holy name of the Lord occasionally, but he is incapable of uttering the name in quality. Therefore, the 4 principles of material advancement, namely high parentage, good wealth, high education, and attractive beauty, are, so to speak, disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancement. Few powerful points in this purport, you know, that these 4 principles of material advancement, why are they, so to speak, disqualifications? Who was attentive here? Or who is attentive? Why are they so-called disqualifications, these 4 principles of material advancement? Come on. Chief Jaga. Yes, and not only that, they make us proud. Yes. That's unfortunately the position that as soon as we have some little opulence, oh, we become so proud. Oh, look at me, I'm coming from such an aristocratic family. Oh, look at me, I'm so wealthy. Oh, look at me, I have such high education. And that can even include spiritual education too. That we just become all puffed up about it, you know. And attractive beauty, or being very handsome for the man. You know, yeah, so this is intoxicating for us conditioned souls. And then how can we call out in helplessness? So, and that's exactly why Mahaprabhu was saying, Trinada Pisunichina. We are reciting it every morning so nicely, you know. So, only if we are more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than the tree, you know, only then actually we can chant the holy name in quality, you know. So the pride is false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker, you know, is in our way of really chanting, calling out helplessly. That's the real problem, you know. And I mean, we see, you know, I'm traveling quite a fair bit in many parts of the world. So, and I actually like to be in those countries where the standard of life is a little lower, you know, because proportionally their people are more keen to practice Krishna consciousness. You know, they don't have so much in their life to be complacent and proud about. And the material satisfaction is not leading to this lethargy and so on, you know. Yeah, so countries like Bangladesh or Ukraine before the war. And even now, during the war, you know, some Ukrainian devotees have shared with me how this really helped them to take shelter, you know. Because if the bombs are flying, what else can you do? You have no other shelter except calling out to Krishna. As they were sharing quite a few amazing realizations, you know, how, and this is a proof, you know, how any calamity can be turned around to a golden opportunity to take shelter. So that's why we say anything that happens to a devotee is Krishna's mercy. But sometimes it's not so easy for us to recognize, you know, because from external and mundane point of view, it may think, oh, what's Krishna doing with me? We've been chanting Hare Krishnas for so long, and now this thing is happening in my life. Maybe Krishna doesn't exist, you know. But that's a very shallow and mundane vision, you know. But the deeper understanding is, any calamity, Krishna is sending us to help us to feel helpless. That's the deeper meaning behind it, you know? Because this cultivation of helplessness is so important, and sometimes we need a bit of help to feel helpless. And it seems like only death has that power. You know, when death is knocking on our door, then we feel helpless, you know. Yes. Actually, His Holiness Nanja Swami, he once on one Bhakti Sangam festival in Ukraine before the war started, at the festival, in the class, he shared this point. He was saying that some years ago, at a routine checkup, the doctors found something, and they were saying, "Oh, this may as well be cancer. We have to analyze these cells," you know. And it was not cancer, but it took 10 days to get the report from the lab. And Marge was saying, smilingly, "I think in these 10 days, I probably chanted my best rounds." And he was saying, yes, all of a sudden it hit me. This may as well be it. Life may be over. Okay, you know. So yeah, that's what happens, you know. That's why these little warnings, they are really Krishna's blessings, you know, because yes, of course we get warnings all the time, you know, the skin gets more wrinkly, the teeth fall out, the joints are aching and your hair goes grey, you know, but we are just so expert to ignore all these warnings and keep ourselves in this illusion that death will never happen to us. But yeah, so this helplessness is very important. And Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to say, you know, an ISKCON temple is a crying school where we learn how to cry out to Krishna. And that's very nicely the essence of Krishna consciousness. And you've got a pretty good crying school here. So now we all have to learn to cry out to Krishna, you know, to make use of this good crying school here. So yes, and of course the same thing is there also in Kirtan, not only in Japa. And I remember I had this realization when His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj had his first major health crisis. Can't remember the year, 2004 or 5 or something, when he was in coma for about 10 or 14 days. And I was at the time in Bangladesh, and most of the devotees there are his disciples. And ISKCON Bangladesh was completely devastated, you know, at the news. Oh, Maharaj is in coma. So we immediately started 24-hour kirtan in all the temples, and there's many temples in Bangladesh. And these kirtans were the best kirtans I've ever had, you know, because they were chanted with utter helplessness. When your guru lies in coma and you're praying, there's just not the right situation to show off in kirtan, right? You wouldn't feel like it, you know? And you could really feel that there was no tinge of showing off in these kirtans. And often the kirtan leader was literally crying while he was singing, you know. And they were just so heartfelt kirtans. I didn't want to stay up all night, you know. I wanted to stay in my rhythm of wakefulness and sleep. But I couldn't sleep. I could hear from my room the kirtans in the temple room, you know, and they were just so powerful. And that gave me the realization, this is how kirtan actually should be chanted. And then it was interesting to observe, as Maharaj was getting more stable, and devotees realized, it looks like he will survive this. You know, devotees were relaxing a little bit, and the kirtan was going back to the usual mood with a good portion of showing off, you know. And I was smiling to myself, thinking, yes, just see, only death, imminent death, can make us feel helpless, you know. Yes. So that's why it's also a blessing to get a good warning, like His Holiness Kadambakana Swami got, you know. I mean, this is how I would like to live one day. Cancer suits me perfectly, because you get this warning and you can, you know, bring things to conclusion and decide where you want to be and by whom you want to be surrounded, and you can just, you know, drop all your luggage there, which still may be there, and yeah, this is a blessing. Yeah, it really is, you know. So He actually showed us how to live, you know. No need for any more treatments and all this. Let's just get ready to go, you know. Yes. Yes, so very nice. Yes, so now I would like to elaborate a little bit on our first powerful principle in chanting. Actually, I may have mentioned this before, or those who attended the Holy Name Retreat, which we had there in the mountains some years ago, they may remember there is this nice kirtan arrow, which Satchidananda Swami and Burijan Prabhu came up with. So the word arrow, every letter stands for a principle, which helps us to chant nicely. So A stands for alignment or attentiveness on the level of the body, mind and heart, so we can receive the holy name and avoid aparat. That's the A. So usually I spend the whole day on the A, but we only spend an hour on the A. So, and then comes the first A in the arrow, standing for relationship. Chanting with the awareness of a relationship with the Supreme Lord. And that will help us to establish a connection. And that makes our practice lively. Yes, the R for relationship. So, let us remember that actually we all do have a eternal loving relationship with the Lord, but for all these lifetimes this relationship was very one-sided, just from the Lord's side, you know, but we ignored it, we turned our back to the Lord, and there is a nice purport in 11th canto, 11th chapter, verse 6, which I quickly will read. Lord Krishna is so kind that He patiently sits in the heart, trying to guide the conditioned soul back home, back to Godhead. Certainly, no material friend would remain with such foolish companion for millions of years, especially if his companion were to ignore him or even curse him. But Lord Krishna is such a faithful, loving friend that He accompanies even the most demoniac living entity and is also in the heart of the insect, pig and dog. So that describes very nicely the situation, you know, that Krishna is so compassionate, so faithful, such a loving friend. He never gives up on us, even if we kicking him in the face and turn our back and even curse him and you know, but He never gives up, and He simply patiently waits there in the heart, accompanying us for lifetimes, and tries to, you know, take every opportunity to remind the living entity, hey, why don't you finally turn towards me? You know, and as Queen Kunti says if we are actually materially exhausted, meaning we come to this point where we've had it, as we say, we're fed up, realizing, my God, I'm always trying to make all these arrangements to enjoy, but nevertheless, they always get smashed sooner or later. Is there any higher purpose to life than just eat, sleep, and be married? Is there anything else? So, and when we come to this point, then Paramatma in the heart witnesses that, and he immediately arranges that we meet a devotee, or we see a Harinam party, or we get, some sweet boy, or whatever, or a book, and then our journey starts, yes. Yeah, so, and then we receive Sambandha Gyan, we receive this knowledge. We meet a devotee sooner or later, we get Prabhupada's books, and we realize, Sambandha Gyan is, who is the Lord, who am I, and what is this whole material world all about? Yes. So, and the holy name should be chanted with this mindfulness that we turn towards the Lord when we chant, in the mood of, Krishna, I know you're there, please accept me, longing for the relationship, that we fill our heart and our chanting with longing for the relationship. I need you, my dear Lord, regretting that, we have forgotten you for so many lifetimes. So now I want to put an end to this. So this is how we're meant to chant. And maybe when we do our chanting exercise in a minute, we may realize that this is not so easy. And actually, one can really completely cut Krishna out of the picture in our so-called Krishna consciousness. This is possible, and it's going on quite massively. Externally, we are going through the motions, and we are so busy with so many projects and services and running, so many ambitions. But hey, what am I doing for my relationship with Krishna? Am I doing anything for that? And that we do when we chant. But we only do that when we chant, when we mindfully turn to Krishna in the heart and appeal to him. But even in chanting, we can also cut Krishna completely out of the picture and just keep ourselves busy with so many plans and doing so many things and just getting these rounds done, and we don't even pay attention to Krishna's presence there. Yes, it's going on. It's going on. So let us be clear. A relationship does not happen automatically, just by time passing. So we have to make a conscious endeavor. Doesn't matter which relationships we're talking about, whether this is in the Brahmacharini ashram, or in the Brahmachari ashram, or in married life. We have to make a conscious endeavor to deepen a relationship. We can very easily just live past each other. Just, Haribol, and that's it. Haribol relationships, I like to call them. Where we don't get much further than, Haribol, how are you? Nice to see you. Yes, it requires a bit more of an endeavor to develop deeper relationships. So, and same thing is there with the Lord, And step number 1 is always to be mindful of the person's presence, right? That's the basic, foundation to start off with. First of all, we have to be mindful of the person's presence. And then, we can maybe talk about cultivating a relationship. And in these modern days of impersonalism, we even encounter this very often, that we are not mindful of each other's presence, and we are not even conscious that there's people around us who have needs and desires and all this, and we're just going on our, track there, and we are not even mindful of other people around us. Yes, so why don't we do our little chanting exercise? And if you didn't bring your beads, please don't get up and run off now. It doesn't matter. We can chant without the beads too. No problem. No problem. So let us try to chant one round. Where did I put my beads? Yes. No. I thought I brought my beads. Yes, here. Don't run off. Please stay here. Okay, good. Yeah, because so often everybody's storming out and running to get their beads, and they don't even hear the exercise properly, and So let us chant one round, since we don't have much time. Usually I like to chant 2 rounds, but we just try with 1 round. And we all chant in our own pace, not in unison, but in our own rhythm and pace. And I have to warn you, I'm a pretty slow chanter. I take indeed 10 minutes for 1 round. So you may finish before me, but I hope you allow me to also finish my round. So we chant 1 round, and we really like to try and do this, that really mindfully, deep within our hearts, we turn to Krishna and we feelingly call out to him, appeal to him. Krishna, yes, you are there, I know, please accept me. Because who do we think we are that Krishna so easily accepts us? As we say, Rupa Goswami says, we have to long for Krishna. There has to be a greed there. There has to be a greed there. And that greed we express when we chant, that we long for Krishna. Yes. So let us try that. Okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare-rama, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare-rama. Krishna, Hare-rama, Krishna, Krishna, Hare-rama, Krishna, Krishna, Hare-rama, Krishna, Krishna, Hare-rama, Krishna, Krishna, Hare-rama. Krishna, 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 Hare-rama, Krishna, Krishna, Hare-rama, Krishna, 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 Hare-rama, Krishna, 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 Hare-rama, Krishna, 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 Hare-rama, Krishna, 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 Hare-rama, hare-rama, Gaurapremanandi. So, how did we go? Was it easy? Huh? No. I'm glad you say no. Otherwise I would say, what are you doing here in the material world then, if it's so easy? No, it's difficult, because we're so much in the habit of ignoring Krishna. You know, for lifetimes we have been ignoring Krishna. So it is not easy at all. Not easy at all. It requires a whole deep paradigm shift, actually. You know, and let us also understand this crying for Krishna is meant to be deep in the heart. We don't want to make some public show here. Oh, look at me, how advanced I am. I am crying for Krishna. No. Then we become sahajiyas. Yes. Sahajiyas. Ooh! No. That's not the idea. This crying is meant to be deep in the heart. not visibly externally. Sadhu hides his transcendental emotions very carefully and doesn't display them. Yes. And also there has to be a little bit of intensity there. You know, if we chant too slowly, Hare Krishna, what is this? You know, we almost sound like we're falling asleep here or something. No, there has to be a little bit of intensity there, you know. Yes. Yeah, so not easy at all, you know. So now, and obviously after this exercise, I'm sure we realize if it is not easy here, you know, talking about the holy name in the temple room, in front of Panchatattva, in the presence of Prabhupada, you know, if it is not easy here, what to speak of going shopping and doing so many other things, or sitting on public transport, you know, impossible, right? Yes, yeah. I mean, this exercise is for many devotees a real eye-opener, that they realize, oh my God, you know, I've been doing something else for the last 30, 40, 50 years, you know. I had holy name retreats in Ekachakra where Prabhupada disciples, you know, shared with me that, oh, I realize I've been doing something else for the last years. I have not been chanting Hare Krishna. You know, yes. Yes, because in Harinam Chintamani it also says that we chant, if we chant without turning mindfully to Krishna, then that chanting is not the real thing. It's just the reflection. It's just the shadow. So, as soon as prasadam time, if I show you the reflection of a plate of prasadam, will this be very satisfying? No, it won't, you know. And I say, here, kush it, eat, you know, just grab it, you know, but no, not satisfying. Same thing there with the chanting, you know, if we just chant the shadow of the holy name, this will not be satisfying to the soul, you know. Yes. And again, His Holiness Satyananda Swami, he made this point of Harinam Chintamani, of the reflection and shadow of the holy name. He calls this the empty medicine capsule. So the empty capsule is when we chant without mindfully turning to Krishna, appealing to Him feelingly. This is empty capsule. From outside, it may look like the real thing. But then when we open it, oops, it's empty. No medicine inside. Therefore, no real effect. Yes. That's the whole thing. And very clear, you know, if we chant without mindfully turning to Krishna, this chanting will not reawaken our relationship with Krishna. It's very simple and logical, right? How can it, if we are not even turning to Krishna? You know? It's not a matter of just mechanically blabbering down the syllables of the Maha Mantra, but we also have to do the internal work. The heart has to be involved. We have to feelingly turn to Krishna and appeal to Him, longing for the relationship. Otherwise, it's just not going to do anything for the relationship. Yes, that's why it's empty capsule, you know. And it's very simple and logical. If we actually spend 2 hours or 2.5 or whatever it may take us, if we spend every day time chanting, really feelingly, at least trying to feelingly turn to Krishna and appeal to Him, obviously something will happen in this relationship, right? It will become tangible reality. Very clear, you know? Yes. And same thing is there also in kirtan. You know, what makes a kirtan a powerful kirtan is when we connect, when we mindfully turn to Krishna, feelingly appeal to Him, call out to Him, longing for the relationship. Especially the kirtan leader, you know. If he or she chants like that, then that consciousness travels on the sound vibration and affects everybody's hearts in the audience, you know? Yes, and transforms the heart. And then if we also chant like this, you know, then the kirtan is powerful and spiritually uplifting. But if it's empty capsule, you know, if the kirtan leader is not turning to Krishna, feelingly appeal to Him, calling out to Him, it's empty capsule. Nice music, but not more than that. Yes. And nice music, you know, as we said, you know, the empty capsule doesn't satisfy the soul. So sometimes we may feel this in kirtan, for example, and we think, oh God, where's the bliss? Where's the bliss? You know, and then easily we invite the poison into the capsule. Meaning, we use the holy name to show off. That's the poison. In kirtan, more easily to detect, but in japa it's also there. Oh, look how advanced I am. Oh, Hare Krishna, and some tears are coming, and I'll put some photo on Facebook here. That's just me chanting on Ekadashi 64 rounds. And so that's the poisonous capsule in japa. And the poisonous capsule in kirtan is when we, you know, use the holy name to show off. Oh, thinking this is my chance to demonstrate my beautiful voice and my expertise in singing and you know, yes. So we have to be very, very careful. And all these things I describe in this false ego book. Yes, if you speak English or read English, please get it. It has helped me a lot to detect how my false ego goes into my way. So I'm sure it will help you too. And as I mentioned, there's a whole chapter on chanting the holy name there in kirtan, in japa, everything is in there. Last little point before we finish. Japa in kirtan, you know, what's more important? People often say both, or kirtan or japa. So let's understand the difference. In japa, it is more internal, individual work. We have to build that connection. Most devotees say it's more austere, right? Yes. Whereas kirtan is more the emphasis on spreading and sankirtan, together, right? So now, japa sets the foundation to kirtan, because kirtan offers so many other distractions. There's the melody, there's the rhythm, there's the instruments, there's the audience. So that all can distract us, right? So unless we have a little bit established that relationship in powerful japa, you know, most likely we will not be able to connect in kirtan because of all these distractions. We will think, oh, does everybody like my tune? And oh, maybe I should change it. And oh, maybe they get bored. And hopefully I know how to put this other variation of the tune in there, and I'm busy with the keys here, finding them on the harmonium, you know, then how can we connect, you know? And then it's just some nice music maybe, you know. Yeah, so japa sets the foundation to kirtan. So now my question to you, what sets the foundation to japa? looking at the different aspects of our sadhana. What's the foundation to japa? Yeah, reading Prabhupada's books, hearing. Because that's where we get the sambandha jnana. And Harinam Chintamani describes, if the sambandha jnana is deeply established on the heart level, then it will be very natural that we turn to Krishna when we chant, right? Because we understand deep on the heart, not on the intellectual level, but on the heart level, oh, I've neglected this relationship, I've been such a rascal. Now let me turn and make an end to this. Let me turn to Krishna. You know? So if the sambandha jnana hits the heart, then it will be very natural. But as long as it doesn't hit the heart, you know, it will not be natural, because we have not realized that we have this relationship. You know, we may say, yes, I know, I'm servant, and but then we make so many arrangements to control and enjoy. So then obviously we don't know that we are servant. So to know means to act upon, you know. So that's why hearing regularly, especially Bhagavatam, and reading the Bhagavatam regularly, you know, sets the foundation to good japa. So that's how the three are connected, right? Prabhupada's books set the foundation to japa, and japa sets the foundation to kirtan. So I find this very important to understand, because often we can find this tendency that devotees say, oh, it's all Harinam Sankirtan, the Yuga Dharma, and it's all kirtan, 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 you know, and oh, this temple morning program, no need, that's for those who haven't realized that it's all about Harinam Sankirtan, you know, but no, you know, if we want to put a powerfully purifying edge to our kirtan, we need the japa, and for that we need Prabhupada's books, morning programs, so that's why Prabhupada established it like that. All right, 9:05, I'm sorry to go over time. Should we ask for a question? Is there a question? Okay.
Can you explain shortly the other letters of arrow?
The other letters of arrow. I repeated the question already, so no need. So he's asking the other letters of the arrow. Yes. So A for alignment, R for relationship, second R is for rendering service, chanting the holy name in the mood of serving. It's a whole big discussion, which we don't have time for. What that means in japa and kirtan and. So rendering service is the second R. Then O for opening the heart, and W for welcoming the divine gift. So even on the 3-day holy name retreats, we don't get that much further than second R and a little bit of the O, you know, and welcoming the divine gift. Well, we're not quite there yet. You know? Like that. Okay, so then maybe we'll leave it at that. So when you chant, and tomorrow morning your japa, or this during the day, finishing your rounds, please try and apply what we discussed, that we really want to mindfully turn to Krishna, appeal to him feelingly, being mindful that there's a relationship, that Krishna is there, you know. Yes, and we will realize, you know, some days it's easier, some days it's more difficult. I myself have observed for me that it's easier when there's not too many issues I have to work out, you know. So I guess that's why Prabhupada recommends simple living. If we try and keep our life simple, then we don't have to have so many issues there. And also, what else did I want to say? There was one other point. God, now it slipped my mind. So yeah, we'll try it for ourselves. What was the other point? Forgot. Old age. Oh, forgot. Yes, that's what I said, but there was one other thing which I also wanted to mention, but now I forgot. Anyway, so just try to apply this, that really we want to turn to Krishna. Oh yes, now I remember. Actually, that point, this first R of relationship, that really has the power to transform our japa, from this mechanical, duty chanting, just mechanically finishing the rounds. We transform it to my time with Krishna, when we add this relationship aspect, it has a powerful way to actually transform our chanting, that we get away from this routine, mechanical routine chanting, and it becomes my time when I connect with Krishna, when I talk to Krishna, when I call out to Krishna, So it's quite powerful, but we have to endeavor, and it's not so easy because for so many lifetimes we have ignored Krishna. I mean, let's be clear, this relationship is almost not established yet, and our fear of death directly shows that, because if the relationship was firmly established, we would not be so fearful of death. Then death would be the glorious opportunity where we can finally get out of here. Krishna's been waiting for lifetimes. What's the problem? Why trying to stay here longer by hook or by crook? So that will be the attitude if the relationship is established. But, very often we are not on that level and we want to stay by hook or by crook, because that is where we are tested. Which relationship is the most important one? And if the relationships with people around us are most important, okay, good. You have to come back and finish this more important business. Yes. So it has to be Krishna alone. So we have to remember Krishna alone. And that's not so easy. It requires preparation. And the preparation is the chanting. That's how we prepare. Okay, thank you so much for your kind attention. So today at 4 o'clock at, what's his name, Tat Purush Prabhu's house, we'll talk about envy, how envy manifests towards seniors equals juniors. Many people say, this was the best heart surgery I've ever had, because we discuss and we see, this maybe we are talking about me here, So yes, if you have time, please come and join us. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanandi, Hare Hare Krishna.